Ugh. Oh man, what happened? I don't know, man. My back's really been hurting. I think it could be one of three things. Damn right it could be. All right, are you ready to learn 3 common causes of your back pain and how you can fix it? Stay tuned. Potential cause number 1, having a weak core. So if your core is weak, right, that's going to contribute to a lot of different things, going to put a lot of strain on your low back. If your core is weak, that is a lack of support for your spine in the back, especially the lumbar spine, right? It can contribute to something called an anterior pelvic tilt, right? Where if this is not tight and contracted, and you know that we're working on building strength here, that it's going to cause your pelvis to tilt forward, which is going to put a lot of strain in that low back. It's going to cause some pinching. It's going to really cause these muscles in your low back to become tight and over dominant, which is going to contribute to that kind of general ache that you're feeling. All right, one way that we can address this issue, especially if there's an anterior pelvic tilt involved, is to do core work where you're either on your back, trying to keep your low back flat against the ground, right? If I'm lying here and I really work on tilting my pelvis back, I'm gonna flatten out this space. Can you see it? This space under my back, I want to flatten it against the ground, right? And then whatever core work I'm doing, I'm keeping my entire core braced while I'm doing leg extensions, maybe, right? Maybe I have a weight here and I'm coming overhead. Whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm making sure that I'm keeping my low back flat. That's going to really get to that core engagement, which is going to help support your low back. Another way that we can help with this is doing plank work, where you're working on keeping your hips down and keeping the curve out of your low back, right? If we're dipping down here in a plank, that's just going to put more pressure on your low back. If you're keeping almost like a contraction in here, a hollow body hold, and really trying to take that curve out of the lumbar spine, keeping your core engaged, that is going to go miles to helping you support your core and support your low back in turn. All right, another common cause of back pain issues is a lack of hip mobility. Okay, so the way that our hip mobility impacts any pain that we might be feeling in our low back is that when we're going through our day, right, if our femurs, right here, these bones, can't rotate freely in our hips, right, then that rotation needs to come from somewhere. And it's most likely going to come in some kind of changing angle of your pelvis. And like we talked about before, having any sort of pelvic tilt, it's going to put some pressure on that low back. And it'll also put some pressure on your SI joints, which are right back here, right? And that's kind of the 2 parts of your pelvis moving independently, right? And so essentially, in order to address that issue, if we promote that hip mobility and allow for your femurs to move in the way that they should, it's going to take a ton of strain off of your low back. So how we address this is by working on our hip mobility, ideally under load. So putting your hips in positions where they're having to compensate for rotation, right? But adding load to it. What that's going to do is it's really going to help your joints out and really put the right amount of stress on that muscle tissue and connective tissue so that you can promote long-term mobility, which should really, really fucking help your low back. Another common cause of back pain is poor posture. Whew. So, a lot of times, a cause of poor posture, right? We're sitting at our desk all day. We're just not thinking about it. But the main issue when it comes to back pain there is this curve in our thoracic spine, right? What that does is it causes our rib cage to push out, which traps our shoulder blades in place, right? That then ends up weakening those muscles that help pull your shoulders back. And so what you need to do to address it is address strengthening those muscles. One way that we can work to fix those postural muscles, right, is by doing something called a Superman, right? I've adapted it a little bit here so that our arms are out rather than in front of us. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to dig your hips into the ground, let your feet lift up, and you're going to bring your chest up too, squeezing your shoulder blades together as hard as you can. Come back down. Squeezing your shoulder blades. Come back down. Now, over time, you're going to gain more range here as your back strengthens, and that's really going to help with that posture-related back pain. All right, so in this video, you saw 3 common causes of back pain and how to fix it in yourself, right? If you liked what you saw, be sure to check out maybe one of our other videos, right? Like, subscribe, comment. Can't wait to see you again.